I just want to restate my position on this will thing that Pyro's talking about, and I know other people have mentioned. You know, I don't believe for one moment that this thing we think of as the will and we experience as the will actually exists. I really don't believe it exists. You know, I think it. Yeah, I think as I said before, it's an artifact, but I don't think I've really explained to myself very well in this. I'm just going to have another go. I think it's an artifact that comes out of a particular paradigm, and it's a paradigm that our understanding, our consciousness, our cognition, our brains very easily falls into, and is probably the default paradigm, the default model for how we understand the world, which I guess can be educated out of us, but I do think we have a paradigm, a way of understanding the world, a model by which we interpret the world, and as I say, I think the will is an artifact of that. In the same way that other paradigms tend to throw up artifacts. You know, I mean, if you're, I don't know, a 17th century astronomer, you may well be working with a paradigm of the universe, of the cosmos, in which all planets move in perfect circles. That's your paradigm. And that, if that's your paradigm, if that's the model through which you firmly believe in, then there are these things called epicycles. You know, the only way to explain the fact that some planets move through the sky and then move backwards for a bit and then move forward again, the only way to explain that retrograde motion is that these planets are moving in circles, but they're moving in circles within circles. And the appearance of that is that they move backwards for a period of time. And those, as I say, those epicycles are artifacts of the paradigm. Or if, for example, you firmly believe that waves can only happen in a medium, you know, they can only happen in water or in air or in a blanket when you do this or something like that. If that's your belief, then that paradigm throws up the possibility, the inevitability of the ether. The ether, this medium which permeates all space and in which light functions as it moves through as a wave. Again, the ether is an artifact of the paradigm. You know, and history is full of the artifacts. The history of science and history of ideas is full of totally spurious artifacts thrown up by the misapplication or the misinterpretation of the world, or the application of certain paradigms, certain ways of understanding the world. You know, Phlogiston theory of heat. You know, this material contained this stuff called phlogiston, which was consumed when things burned and turned into, and that was the stuff that produced fire. It doesn't exist, you know what I mean? But it was a particular way of understanding the world in terms of certain substances, and the behaviour of substances necessitates the existence of this material called phlogiston. And going further back, you know, the existence of the humours, these you know, bile and different coloured fluids that move through the body. You know, they're a kind of necessary artifact of certain kinds of paradigms of understanding the world. And you can find them all across, you know, Chinese traditional medicine with its meridians. You need the meridians as a concept. Actually, you need qi as a concept to power that paradigm. If you haven't got the qi, the paradigm falls apart. It's produced by the paradigm. So yeah, I think the same is true of will. I think will is an artifact of the paradigm that we use to understand ourselves and the world. And I think that paradigm is inbuilt. I think it's features within understandings like folk physics, folk psychology, folk science more generally. It's part of the basic operating system of our brain that we come into the world with, and then just kind of stays around, really. Yeah.